Hello.
Hi. Do you want to do the intro or shall I? Okay.
Do you want to start?
Okay. Yes. We're still getting used to this whole co-release manager thing. So, hi, I'm Steele. I'm here with Maurits, and we are the Plone release managers. Welcome to World Plone Day. We're here to talk about the release management process and whatever else.
Yeah, hello everyone. Nice to see you. Well, or that you see me at least. See us. And yeah, welcome to World Plone Day, Italy.
Yeah. We obviously haven't prepped for this. I've been the Plone release manager for way too long now. So I'm currently heading up the effort on Plone 6, which is eventually coming, I promise. But last year, Maurits graciously agreed to take on the role of the release manager for the prior series. So finishing up Plone 4 as well as Plone 5. And so it's been a huge weight off of my shoulders to be able to hand that off. And so I really appreciate his efforts there.
Yeah, I'm doing all kinds of just normal package releases, taking a package which has some changes and releasing it to the Python package index. And then after a while, you have to see, hey, does everything work nicely together? And yeah, so then the process is that we do have a big checklist of, I think, 20 items or maybe a bit more, with items that mostly I or Eric would do, and some items for the marketing team or the security team or a few other people, internationalization. And I or Eric make some releases of packages, or we put a pending release up on this.plone.org. And then we announce it on the community, like, hey, hello people, you can now test drive this. And hopefully within a few days we then get feedback that everything is okay and we release it. In practice it may take longer because some problems are found, but that is the general idea.
Yeah. And it's been really nice having others helping with that. The process has grown significantly over the past however long. Like, I think it was Plone 3.2 that introduced build outs. It used to just be one giant tarball, and now it's a crazy amount of individual packages. We've been working on developing tooling around that to really simplify that process. I remember initially spending a lot of time, updating the README by hand, and then bumping the version in the setup py, and then releasing it and all this. And so we've been building out some really nice tooling. It's based around the Zest releaser product that Maurits worked on. That's really made a huge difference and saved a lot of time. Eric was asking how many packages we touch per Plone release. It can vary. Like if it's a major release, it'll be, like 40 to 60. If it's a minor release, it's significantly less. It also depends on how much time you're leaving between each release. I know I was before Maurits stepped in, I was leaving it going a little too long, so we'd have 20 or 30 per release. How many are you seeing now?
It could also be 20 or 30. It's just how active the community is. And sometimes I know that I myself in Plone 5.2.2, I think, made probably 30 or 50 packages where I changed very minor things, just removing some deprecation warnings, and then which was maybe 2 or 3 lines change, and then you did have to release all those packages. So it can be a lot, but it doesn't always mean that there are a lot of changes. Though there can be a lot of non-Plone packages that are also get changes. Most importantly, from all kinds of SOAP packages, but also some other the requests library may have a new update, and we try to keep up to date with that without changing too many versions in one minor or micro release. If you add up everything, then it becomes a lot. But pure core Plone versions, that can be 20 packages per release, I guess.
Yeah, there are a lot of those small cleanup changes that can cause. I mean, it's somebody doing like PEP8 cleanup or updating a README or something like that, or just like a formatting change that they can quickly update like 10 to 15 packages. It's a small change, but it still requires us to make a package release. But like I said, we've simplified that process significantly. So where it would initially take 20 minutes to release a package, it now takes maybe 1 to 2 minutes. So we can go through rather quickly and get those released. It's probably best that we wait to make sure all the tests pass when that release is done. But sometimes it's good to be able to just knock out 5 to 10 at once. Okay, I'm told I'm being echoing again, so I'll be right back.
Yeah, it seems we're having some problems with the audio again, and Eric is trying to reconnect. That helped a few minutes ago before we started. Let's see if that helps again. That's the beauty of Zoom meetings or StreamYard meetings and other meetings.
Okay, is it better now?
That's better, yeah.
Okay. I have no idea what's going on.
It worked fine for a couple of minutes, and then it suddenly started.
Yeah, I think I muted because there was a fire truck going by, so that may have caused it. I have no idea.
It was fine most of the way, so we'll try.
Oh well. One of the other challenges I know I've run into is like learning which packages are going to be like there's some that are updated a lot more frequently than others. So like I'll always leave like Plone app layout to the last because there have been releases where I've made a package release 5 or 6 times because I started it too early. And somebody's gone in and made a change, then okay, fine, we're good, and made a release, and then somebody else has found something, and so it can get old quickly.
That happens to me as well, yeah. Yeah, it's one hand, it's fine to, if a package has a change, then for most packages it's fine to make a quick release. That's, at least in the Zoop community, I think that happens a bit more, that especially someone like Jens Vakelpol will make a change to a package and okay, all the tests pass, okay, we'll make a new release. And we can do that more, but for some packages that would probably mean a release every day, and that's not good. And for the main Zoop package, they don't do that either. There's a bit more planning involved there. And especially for a product CMF Plone package, you don't do it there either. And there are a few more where you don't want to do that too often. But usually a single release, that's quite fast to do for a single package.
Yeah. One of the changes we made in more recent years is that kind of pending state, leaving, making a release and then sort of handing it off to the community to test out before we finalize it. And that's been, I think, it's lengthened the process, but I think it's made things a lot more stable. It can be a little frustrating because there's just sort of like all these things trickling in, and there are things that people just don't test until we get to that stage. But it's definitely helped to catch a lot of things that would be. It would cause more trouble if they made it into the release than it does, getting it, finding it at that point. So it's been helpful getting those out of the way sooner.
Sometimes people test the pending release and they report some problems, but they're not really major problems. And then you often think, there are at least 600 bug reports in the CMF Plone issue tracker which are still open, which may or may not be more serious than this one issue that someone found. But in some cases, it can be a blocker or something really gets tripped up. It is handy. It's better to have more reports about bugs than not have anyone look at it. Because then you really, we'll if no one has even tested it for 1 week, then you can, okay, let's ship it. But that's always dangerous. At least some people need to have a look at it. Otherwise, yeah, things will break even if you test it yourself.
Yeah.
I do usually test it with 1 or 2 clients. But
yeah. You mentioned the blockers, and that's definitely been a fun political issue. Just because they're a lot of the times something comes in marked as a blocker, it's because it's a blocker for that person. And I totally get that that's a big issue for that person, but we have to figure out how to balance that between, what's important for the community. Do we have to hold up this release in order to fix this bug, or is it, is it legitimately a blocker, or is it just a problem for you? And while we want to make it work for everybody, we have to remember that shipping Plone is the kind of our main job. So.
Yeah, if you wait till everything is perfect, then it's 5 more years till the next Plone release. So we're not going to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I think we've definitely improved things with our testing infrastructure, which has been really helpful. 10, 15 years ago, everything was tested once a night, and then we had to take the next. So there'd be a was it test bot or something like that would send an email out, and we'd spend the morning trying to figure out exactly what broke it yesterday, that sort of thing.
The sound is going wrong again at your part there. Maybe restart again and I've seen 2 questions. Meanwhile, I'll try to tackle one of those.
Okay, I will
reconnect. Maybe that works. So there's one question. Erico asks. With Eric Steele, who is reconnecting, and with Erico Andrei, who's asking some questions on the site. He's asking, what about the translations? What's the current workflow to release it? Usually I ask Vincent Fretin, who has been the internationalization team leader, to make a new release of Plone App Localis. Vincent is not using Plone that much anymore, or maybe at all. So if Mikael Laregiati, if I have the name correct, has recently stepped up as the team lead for internationalization. So the process for translations would be to ask him to create a new release. We can probably do that. Eric and me could do it ourselves, but it's good to have someone else responsible for that and check if translations are somewhat up to date or if things have somehow broken. It's good that other people care about that. So that's the process for translations.
Yeah, I do want to give a shout out to Vincent for all his hard work, because he's been for a long time just been doing all that work and getting just doing it all behind the scenes and being perfectly happy to do that, and it's been fantastic.
I remember, I think it's about maybe 10 years ago or so that Hanno Schlichting, I think, was the internationalization team lead, and he was stepping down, and I thought about becoming the team leader maybe, but around the time I was moving to a new house and my internet connection was bad, so I thought, okay, let's not do that at this point. And then Vincent Fretin had stepped up, and I think he has done it for 10 years. I think at least for 10 years, something like that. But some people are doing the same job for a lot of time. Well, the same goes for you, I guess.
Yeah, somebody's going to have to tell me it's time to stop at some point. I always remember back to I forget who it was, but they were making T-shirts for them that said "Plone, I don't know how to quit you." I'm kind of in the same boat. I enjoy it immensely, but at the same time, it's healthy for the community to have new people step into roles like that. So, and again, that's why I'm glad you're able to I've done a lot of reading. So when I first joined, there was a major kind of turnover in the community. lost a number of people who had been involved in for years. And I apologize, I talk about this a lot, but and like our founders were sort of fading into the background, and there was like kind of just a leadership vacuum. And so like one of the things I learned through that is it's very important to find and nurture like new leaders over time, like finding people who have the ability to take on like major roles in the community, and find them a place to so that you can bring them on board before the current leadership is completely gone, because then there's just knowledge loss, and that's really horrible for a community. I don't know where I was going with that, but it's one of my soapboxes. So yeah, it's been really great seeing a new group of leaders stepping up in recent years. We're open source projects have a way of just completely using up people, and I mean that in the nicest way possible. But it's like Maurits, I see you're a release manager, you're on the security team, you do like 12 other things, and we just want to make sure that everybody has backup, has the ability to step back when they need to, and that they don't completely flame out and disappear without transferring their knowledge to someone else. So.
Yeah, so it helps that there are two release managers at least. Yeah, if I get sick or don't have time for a while, then you could do another Plone 5.2 release, and if you don't have time for Plone 6 at some point, then I could pick that up or create another alpha or beta release. More people take over roles also in other teams. That can help a lot. That not one person knows how to do things or has the keys to log into a machine. So a bit for the testing team, which is no longer really there. At least Gio Forcada knows the most about Jenkins and Mr. Roboto, which is what we're using to test Plone. And he doesn't have that much time to work on that anymore. Sometimes he does do things, and he has talked with the current AI team, admin and infrastructure team. And Fred van Dijk, who is a colleague of mine, has stepped up to become the new team lead for the AI team. And probably Fred and me will try to pick up the Jenkins stuff a bit more. Fred has mostly the idea what needs to change, and I can, if he changes things, then I can test that it actually works. That things with pull requests are getting tested correctly for Plone 6. And things like that. So if not sure where I was going with that, but more people, if only one person knows how something works, then it's kind of broken.
Yeah, and I know there's it having, so we, all right, I'll be right back.
There's the sound problem again, I fear. And Erica was mentioning that also. So Eric will be back shortly. It's fun, and he's back there. Yeah, that's better.
If this is the worst thing that happens today, that's fine with me. We were talking about so like you were talking about like having that sort of failover between people. We've had that for a while. The bus rule of like what would happen if this person got hit by a bus? Would we be able to continue? And we've tried, like in each of the packages we run, we've tried to make sure that we have multiple owners. More recently, we've added like a Plone account to PyPy so that there's sort of a shared key for that package, so that we've had times where there's like an obscure package that we use, we just have never had to update, that sort of like with the Python 3 migration, we found a number of things that were like, we've never had to touch this in the last 5 years, and the person that wrote this is we can't get in touch with them. So it was a little rough in those cases. So we've really made an effort to try to make sure that everything has got coverage or double coverage, and yeah, it's just a safety thing. Let's see. I keep losing the messages from Erico. So.
Yeah, his last question was, and maybe you can pick that up. How is the release process going to change when we ship Volto with Plone? Have you ever had a chance to think that through already?
Yeah, I mean, we've had several discussions about it. It's going to be interesting. So, like one of the benefits of like a headless being a headless CMS, which we're not there yet because we're still shipping with a front end, but we're sort of an optional headless CMS, I guess. But you know, the back end can iterate at a different speed from the front end. You know, Plone has been around forever. It's a solid system. So the back end, you know, we're going to be constantly making bug fixes, but it doesn't need to be like, you know, just constant releases. Whereas Volto, there's a lot of, I don't know how best to say it, but there's going to be a lot of changes over time in the front end. And I mean, for Plone itself, like the majority of the changes that we tend to have to make are usually more front end focused. Is that what you're seeing, Maurits?
At least the question from Eric was more, how does that affect the release process? Yeah, how are we going to ship Volto and Plone together?
Sure.
Somehow? At least there is talk about combining those in the installer for Plone.
Yeah.
And that you get when you install Plone, that you get some button or a question on the command line. Hey, do you want to install? I'm not sure about the names, but do you want to install Volto or do you want to install Classic Plone? That's maybe one way of doing it.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, that's what it looks like to ship it. As far as the release cycle goes, we're working on setting up something. So Plone used to have a thing where it was sort of we had what we called maintainers who sort of shepherded certain features of the system, and we've gotten away from that in years. You know, there are definitely people spend a lot more of their time in a certain feature than others, but you know, before it was sort of a codified thing where, you know, if there were issues coming in for it, there were they sort of took the point on that, made sure that things got fixed, that things were correct, and that things were, you know, when it came time for release, that those things were bundled up. And I think we're going to probably take the same tack with Volto, where it's sort of forcing the slower.
It's starting again with the sound, I'm afraid.
Okay.
At one point, I had, I think, a Zoom meeting where I could hear 20 of the people, but one of the 20 people I could not hear, which was weird. Restarting then helped, but probably it works now again.
Okay. I really don't know what the difference is. What was I saying? So yeah, I think we're going to set up the same tack with Volto, where we're letting that team kind of manage their releases. We'll sync up for major Plone releases to make sure that things are happening at the same time, and make sure that we're releasing when they need it for changes in the back end. But I think that's going to allow them to have their rapid release cycle. They've been really good at versioning, where they're you know, making it I just lost my train of thought. They've been doing a very good job of versioning, where they're making sure that breaking changes are minimized and well documented, and versions reflect that directly. And so, like, I feel confident that you know, letting them, like, they're doing a fantastic job of making sure that, you know, it's stable. And so I think that allowing them to handle that part of the release process is going to work out well for us. Erica's asking about fun stories about releasing Plone. Do you have any?
I can't immediately think of anything.
I'll let you think on that. I, after a while, just decided like I was going to see the stupidest places I can make Plone releases from. I've done it from, I think Plone 5 came out. I think I pushed the button while I was somewhere over Denver on a plane. I there was one holiday here where our car got stuck in a ditch. It's snowing heavily unexpectedly, and our car went off the road. So I was sitting in the car in a ditch waiting for a tow truck to come. So I was like, yeah, I might as well make some releases from here. Um, it's mostly just been to keep myself amused. Um, I don't think there are any like fun stories specifically about releasing Plone.
I think if I have it correctly, the Plone 5.2.3 release that I was working on in October last year. Okay, there were some blockers that I was working on, but at some point I said, okay, the main blocker now is that my wife is having a baby tomorrow. So I think Plone was already in the pending release then. But yeah, it would have to wait to a final release until after the baby was born. But yeah, that's half a year ago now. So everything is fine with that baby at least, and the Plone baby seems fine as well.
Yeah, if there's one message I would send to the community, it's to remember that we're human, and this is sort of a side gig for everybody. So, we want to do best by you, but we also have lives outside of this that sometimes sneak in. So, Erica's asking, what about good memories about Plone Community or Plone events? I mean, there's so many. Probably ones like there are definitely some that I would love to tell but can't tell here. I mean, yeah, the one I always come back to is for me is Arnhem, the conference we had there, which is, I mean, I don't know how it compares to other. I mean, it's definitely not as big as Amsterdam, but it was, like, I don't know how it compares to other cities in the Netherlands, but it was not a large town to me.
It was okay by Dutch standards. It's probably the 8th or 10th town in the Netherlands, I guess.
Okay, yeah.
I guess maybe 120,000 people living there.
Oh wow. Okay. I mean, I guess we mostly got a tour of a certain section of downtown, so maybe I didn't get the full picture. I just remember there was a famous bridge that replaced a bridge that had been there, and that was why it was famous. But yeah, I mean, I always just remember I have a friend who lives there, and she came out to join us and for dinner one night, and we were just having discussion. Like, one of the things I've always appreciated about the Plone community is that they have such a varied range.
You have the sound again.
I don't know how.
So Arnhem is in the Netherlands, where I've lived most of my years, but currently I'm living in Belgium, actually, which is directly below the Netherlands. And Eric back here.
What was I saying? So yeah, one of the things I've always appreciated about the Plone community is there's such a varied range of backgrounds. Like, like not everybody came into this as a full-time programmer. There are people who've had coffee plantations, been, I know Paul was a geophysicist or something like that. There's just a wide range of experiences. And so, like, sitting down to eat dinner, like, there's definitely talk about, the code base, but there's also a lot of, there's a wide range of conversation. And so, like, my wife has always said she appreciates that, we don't just sit there and nerd out. We'll include her in the conversation and talk about other stuff. And people were generally interested in who she was. And I've appreciated that as a community member. But so my friend was with us, and she just had the best time ever, just talking about geopolitics and chicken farming and what was Franco's kick at that point? He was ranting about something, but she came back and we left dinner and I was walking with her and she said, I don't know what it is you do. Yeah, the Falklands, that's what he was talking about. Thank you. She says, I don't know what it is you do, but I want to be part of it. And I always appreciated that this community was so welcoming and so open that people just could see who we are, and they really enjoyed that. So. I don't know. Do you have any favorite moments?
Yeah, what was at least about, I think for Budapest, I think we had in 2009, there was one of the mostly former Plone companies in the Netherlands, Goldmund, Wildebeest and Wunderliebe, which is always a nice name, or mostly it's called Goldmund. And yeah, they told everyone, okay, we've said to too many people in the Plone community, like, hey, we owe you a beer. So okay, they rented a boat on the river there in Budapest, and invited everyone to come there, and they paid the bill there. And so that was fun. And what did I order there? A Bacardi Cola and a Cuba Libre. And I only got one drink. I thought, no, I want the Cuba Libre and the Bacardi Cola or Bacardi Coke. And after a while, I realized, okay, apparently those are two names for the exact same drink. I totally didn't know that. If my boss wanted one, that I saw the other somewhere advertised, like, okay, I don't know what it is, but I'll try it. And, okay, learned something new.
Nice. All right, so we're being told to wrap it up. From me, thank you everyone for all of your hard work and just getting through this year. We will, Plone 6 will be soon, I guess, and it's coming. So I appreciate all your hard work. Please help test, and thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, everyone. Eric, it was nice meeting you, talking with you. And Plone 5.2.5 will also be there probably next in somewhere in May, I guess. And so we'll just continue doing new releases. Thanks a lot, and enjoy the rest of your World Plone Day. Bye bye.